All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're about to embark on an epic, documentary-style geographical journey. Today, we're tracking down one of the most massive, dynamic, and honestly awe-inspiring river systems on the entire planet. I'm talking about the mighty Brahmaputra. We're going to trace this colossal waterway from its freezing high-altitude birth all the way down to the ocean.
But, before we get completely lost in the sheer scale of this thing, we really need to ground our journey in a human perspective. As one resident of Assam beautifully put it, we have grown up seeing the mighty Brahmaputra River. The beauty and vastness of this great river always amazes me. It's a great reminder that we aren't just looking at water moving across a map here. We're witnessing a raw force of nature that has captivated and sustained millions of people for countless generations.
Forged by tectonic plates. Let's travel way back in time to the violent, literal, earth-shattering geological birth of this whole region. Picture this. Around 50 to 55 million years ago, the Indian plate slammed directly into the Eurasian plate. Boom. This massive tectonic collision thrust the Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau right up into the sky. And over millions of years, these colossal glaciers formed on those brand new peaks. As they slowly melted and shifted around, their immense weight carved out the very valleys our river flows through today. So this river, it's quite literally a product of the ongoing uplift of the Himalayas.
Section 2. The Epic Geographical Journey.
Imagine following just a single, freezing drop of water as it accelerates down from those icy peaks. Depending on exactly how you measure it, we're looking at a 2,900 to 3,100 kilometer cross-border descent. It's absolutely massive. It flows across 3 distinct countries, and we can break it down into 4 really dramatic stages. It originates up in Tibet, takes a violent turn at what's called the Great Bend, spills out into India, and finally concludes in Bangladesh.
Section 3. The Purifier of Tibet.
Let's shift our focus high up into the serene, freezing, and totally remote origins of the northern Himalayas, 5,200 meters. Just let that elevation number sink in for a second. That is the dizzying altitude of the Angsi Glacier in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China, right near Mount Kailash. Now, funny enough, 19th century geographers debated the river's true source for decades, often pointing to a different glacier entirely simply because they didn't have the tools to prove otherwise. It was actually only through modern satellite imagery and advanced remote sensing that we finally proved, beyond a doubt, that the Angsi Glacier is the true principal source. So, way up in this dry, high-altitude Tibetan plateau, fed purely by snowmelt and glaciers, the river is narrow and the water is just crystal clear. It actually begins its life under the name Yarlung Tsangpo. I love this detail. It beautifully translates to purifier in Tibetan. And it holds on to this name as it flows steadily eastward for its first 1,600 kilometers.
Section 4. Plunging the Great Bend.
After that incredibly long eastward journey, the hydrological power of the river shifts, and I mean it shifts dramatically. Near the eastern Himalayas, the river makes one of the most violent, breathtaking turns on the planet. It curves sharply around the towering 7,782-meter peak of Namcha Barwa. And get this, as it makes this turn, it cuts through a gorge that is, in places, literally deeper than the Grand Canyon. No joke. It plunges down with just terrifying force, totally preparing to burst out of the mountains.
Section 5. The Son of Brahma.
And burst it does. The river literally crashes down out of the mountains and spills right into the vibrant, chaotic plains of South Asia. And here's where it gets fascinating. As the river physically crosses international borders, it actually alters the human culture around it, adopting entirely new local names and traditions as it goes. It transforms from the Yarlung Tsangpo in Tibet to the Siang or Dihang as it enters Arunachal Pradesh, then to the Brahmaputra in Assam, and finally, it becomes the Jamuna in Bangladesh.
Now, the most crucial cultural transformation happens right in the middle of its journey, with the name Brahmaputra. It's a Sanskrit word, and it means son of Brahma. This is such a cool cultural anomaly. Unlike almost all other major Indian rivers, think of the Ganga or the Jamuna, which are grammatically feminine and personified as goddesses, this immense roaring river takes on a strictly masculine identity in traditional legends.
And you know what? When you witness its dominating presence down on the plains, that masculine personification makes total sense. The river completely transforms. It leaves behind those narrow, clear, glacier-fed streams of Tibet and becomes the Brahmaputra in Assam. After major tributaries like the Dabong and Lohit join the party, it widens into this vast, sprawling, braided waterway. It creates massive sandbars and islands, including Majuli, which is actually one of the world's largest inhabited river islands.
To really wrap your head around that width, you've got to look at the sheer volume, 19,000 cubic meters per second. Think about that. That is the average annual discharge. To put that into perspective, it's an absolutely staggering amount of water moving every single second, making it one of the largest rivers in the world by discharge. And this is driven by a unique triple threat of water sources. You've got the original Himalayan glaciers, constant snowmelt, and, of course, the intense seasonal monsoon rainfall.
All of this huge ecological explosion of water, supports a breathtaking array of life. Stretching across tropical forests, wetlands, and floodplain grasslands, the river basin sustains some of the most incredible biodiversity on Earth. We're talking vital habitats for the endangered Ganges river dolphin, the greater one-horned rhinoceros, Bengal tigers, and just countless flocks of migratory birds.
But it's not all perfectly balanced. For the people living alongside it, especially down in Assam, it's a river of intense extremes. On one hand, it is undeniably a lifeline. It provides incredibly fertile soils for agriculture, booming fisheries, river transport, and essential drinking water. Yet, that exact same awesome power causes devastating annual floods, really aggressive riverbank erosion, the loss of precious agricultural land, and honestly, the heartbreaking displacement of entire communities year after year.
Which brings us to the river's fourth and final stage in Bangladesh. Now known as the Jamuna, our massive river finally merges with the mighty Ganges, which is known there as the Padma, and the Meghna River. Together, this unimaginable combined volume of water pushes out into the Bay of Bengal, forming the absolute largest river delta in the entire world. It's just wild. The epic journey comes to its sprawling, magnificent conclusion right there at the sea.
So that leaves us with a pretty big final thought for today's explainer. We've seen how this river was literally born from colliding continents, right? How it carved out mountains, and how it completely dictates the ecology and human culture of South Asia today. But as we witness its immense power to both give life and, unfortunately, violently wash it away, it begs the question, how can humanity adapt to the changing rhythms of one of the world's youngest and most powerful rivers? It's a super fragile relationship, and it's one that's for sure only going to become more critical in the years to come. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey.